You might be closer to retirement than you think. Now, I know that just sounds like a crazy headline, but stay with me. Retirement isn't just about a specific age or a financial number. It's really about the life that you're ready to live. And chances are, if you're watching this, there's something in you already asking, could I retire sooner than I thought? I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement. I help people make their retirement remarkable. So please like, share, and comment your thoughts. Now, let's look into this a little bit more. First, let's start with one. Why do people actually wait to retire? And there are so many reasons, because things like, okay, we're told we have to wait until you're 65. You can't retire to then you can finally live. We're told you need at least $1 million to retire. Once you have that million, then you can finally live. We're told life is busy, life is expensive, then you can finally live. But the big one, really the big one for most of us, it's because we're scared we haven't saved enough. It's probably the biggest reason that people delay retirement. Things like, if we haven't saved enough, we worry, will we run out of money? Could we become a burden to our families? Do we have to give up the lifestyle we worked so hard for? So let's face it, there's really no magic number that guarantees this peace of mind. And there's as many retirement calculators out there that spit out different answers as there are people out there looking for those answers. But honestly, markets will go up, markets will go down. Inflation, well, it seems to continuously just go up, but unexpected expenses pop up. So there's very valid reasons why we're concerned that we haven't saved enough. But here's really what I think is the truth. Sometimes the fear isn't just about the numbers. It's about knowing how much is enough for you. So clarity about your goals, about how much you want to spend, about how much you need every month, not just cash, is what will give you confidence to step into the next chapter. And then the next reason that I hear after the money reason is they're concerned. They just don't know what retirement will look like. Will they be bored? Will they lose their identity? Will they lay around all day and just go, oh my God, this is it? So retirement sounds so wonderful. It sounds like freedom. We've been waiting for years and years, but for many people, it's also secretly terrifying. And why? I guess it's not just about leaving a job. It's about leaving behind the structure, the routine, the paycheck, and sometimes a sense of purpose. Work gives us identity. It gives us an automatic social connection. It gives us a reason to get up in the morning. Without it, people will often worry, what will I do all day? Who will I be? And then there's also the fear of the unknown. Will I become lonely? Will I be bored? Will I be irrelevant? Who will I now hang around with? What about my friends? They can't retire, etc. There's so much fear around it. So even if someone is often financially ready, emotionally, they just might not feel prepared. And that's completely normal. And because of this, though, people wait and wait and wait until finally something else wakes them up, a death, an illness, or finally they just go, okay, I've had enough. But here's just a little truth bomb. Most people wait longer than they need to, not because they can't afford to retire, but because they've never really stopped to ask themselves, what would life be like if I did retire? Now that's a great question. So how do you know when it is time to retire? So often it's not just one thing. And surprisingly, it's not always about hitting a certain age or reaching that magic number in your bank account. Sometimes it's just a shift maybe that you feel inside yourself when the joy you used to get from going to work starts to fade. And when you find yourself daydreaming about slower mornings, about spontaneous travel, or about simply having more control over your time. You may notice that those things that once drove you, those promotions, the deadlines, the meetings, no longer matter as much as the time with your family, as your health, as your personal passions. And sometimes it's also not just a financial milestone again. Sometimes it's a life milestone. Maybe a grandchild was born, maybe a health scare or a death somewhere along the way, or just waking up tired of the grind. And then being ready also means that you've taken a realistic look, of course, at your finances and that you can imagine a lifestyle that you can sustain. But again, it's more than just numbers. It's about being emotionally ready for change, having something to retire to instead of just something that you leave behind. When the idea of Monday without a meeting feels exciting instead of scary, well, that's a pretty good sign that you're getting close. Retirement shouldn't be the end. It's actually the start of living life on your terms. Now, another one I hear often is, if not now, when? But here's the real question that nobody wants to ask, and it's not a good, or it can be a good question, but here's the question. How much time do I actually have? It's a question most of us like to avoid. How much time do I actually have left? Now, nobody really knows. And not to be morbid, but let's even break that down a little bit further. So the average retirement lasts 20 to 25 years. But those years are not all the same. No. The first 5 to 10 years are often the healthiest, the most mobile. You're the most adventurous. That's when you'll spend the most money. So the real question might be, how much time do I actually have to do the things that I've been putting off, to live, to travel, to try something new, to spend this time with the people I love while we still can? When we look at it this way, time becomes precious. Retirement becomes precious, not someday, but now. We don't get a rewind button. And while you may have and hopefully have years and years ahead of us, sometimes the best ones, the ones where we're active, the ones where we're healthy, the ones where we're free, might be closer to now than you think. Remember, it isn't about how long you live. It's about how fully you live with the time that you've got left. So now let's talk about some of the what ifs, because they're real. The what ifs can really crowd out your thinking. What if I run out of money? What if I get bored? What if something goes wrong? These are the fears that creep in just as you start to imagine a freer, slower, more wonderful life. And they're valid, just like we've been talking about. But remember, retirement is a big leap. And it really can feel risky. Anything unknown can feel risky. But all those what ifs will always be there no matter what. The goal isn't necessarily to silence them, but to look at them honestly and then plan around them. Because there's another side to that coin. What if you wait too long? What if you miss your healthiest years? What if you never get around to living your dreams? Because sometimes the scariest what ifs aren't the ones about risk. They're the ones about regret. What if you have enough, but you never gave yourself permission to enjoy it? What if you're more than ready, then you realize the truth is there's no perfect time. There's just the time you choose to start living fully, even if it's a little bit imperfect. So now we've come full circle, right back to the thought. You might be closer to retirement than you think. So why now? I guess it's just a summary of everything I've said, because time isn't guaranteed. Your health isn't guaranteed. Your energy, the people you want to spend time with, someday has a funny way of slipping further away. And before you know it, you're planning your dreams around what's left instead of what's possible. The truth really is the best years of your retirement, the active ones, the adventurous, joy-filled years, don't last forever. So if you're close, if you're ready, if the idea of freedom makes your heart beat a little bit faster, now may be the exact right time. So you really may be closer than you think. If that idea excites you or scares you, then it's time to start asking yourself those real questions. Not can I retire, but what am I waiting for? I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement. I produce a retirement lifestyle video every Saturday at noon. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of the above. And please consider joining our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/lifestartsatretirement.